we will be ranking chess world champions in terms of aura. Not who's the strongest, not who's the best, honor of the board, but who changed the world forever. Who contributed most to chess? Who was a good person? Who was not such a good person? Who were people terrified of? Who were people happy to see and play? Dolby stream? Yeah. Nasty glasses. We will be starting from the bottom with the official FIDE world champions or recognized world champions. And we'll be working our way up. Okay, number one, numero uno, Wilhelm Steinitz. Born in Austria in the 1800s, he was the first ever recognized world champion, defeating this guy, Zukertort. I don't know why he's here, but he's here. He kinda did change chess forever. He introduced a lot of the core principles that we use today. He recognized that defense takes, or at least he thought, defense takes less energy than attacking. And so he would often take these positions where his king was exposed or in the center, and he would just tank basically and brave his opponent's attacks. In Steinitz era, he became world champion in the year 1872, I think. 74? I don't know, I need to look it up. Oops. Let's find out. $1886. Okay. So later than I thought. So that means he was 50 when he became world champion. So that's definitely one of the oldest ones. Is my math correct? Yeah. Okay. He was 50 years old. He didn't live a very long life. In terms of aura, I mean, he did a lot for chess, but at the end of his life, he was kind of crazy and broke and hallucinating. So we'll put him here. A. S. Why? Why S? No. I mean, he is the first one, though. He's the first. Okay, we'll bump it up to A+, because he's the first. Just for that. We put him at A+. For, S++. No. Okay. There's a lot of openings and defenses that, because of the hallucinations. Okay. if we rank everyone by how crazy they were, like foreshadowing. Uh, okay, Steinitz did a lot for chess. Crazy guy. He thought the walls were speaking to him by the end of his career. He hallucinated a game with God and gave the moves. Actually, he thought he was playing God himself. I was like, take your pills, Grandpa. Okay, moving up. Emanuel Lasker. He was world champion from 1894 till 1921. That is 27 years sitting on the throne. The longest any chess player has ever been world champion. He was the first one to recognize the psychological component of chess, and so he would do things to psych people out. If he knew his opponent wasn't a smoker or didn't like the smell of smoke, he would bring a big cigar and just smoke it. And when cigars were banned, he would just like take one and like put it next to the board, and you know, because the threat is better than the execution. He was the original rage baiter basically. If he thought you were an attacking player, he would just attack you so you couldn't attack. You know, if you were impatient, he would just draw out the game, and if you were very patient, he would just like jump you basically. I'm not sure if he's the one that played the most world championships, but it's pretty close. By the end of his career, look right here. So when he was very old, he was like 70 something, he was still playing chess. He was also a physicist. Look at all this stuff. Mathematical analysis of card games. Like, this guy was doing side quests while he was the world champion. Like, what? He got one of his papers disproved by Albert Einstein himself. I think that's easily like S++. Come on. Like, this guy he didn't have a lot of money when he was old, so he would just play tournaments for money and win. Like, in the 30s and 40s, when he was like 60 or 70, he was still playing. S++, easily. We might need to rearrange this later, but okay. Next up, Jose Raúl Capablanca y Graupera. My man. My guy. S++. Genius. Genius. Not because he's Cuban, but like, he's probably the most brilliant chess player ever. He was born in Cuba. Basically got paid to play chess by the government. Yeah, this is very unbiased. Like, he was made some bullcrap title like ambassador to Moscow or something like that, or worker in the embassy. This guy has so many crazy stories. In 1911 in San Sebastian, another player was talking smack about him, saying that he was too young and too inexperienced to be playing with the big boys. And San Sebastian was like a massive tournament with like Lasker and all these players. And Capablanca beat that guy like 10-0 in blitz, something like that. And then they played their tournament game, and Capablanca won a brilliancy prize, and then was like, not so inexperienced after all, huh? He would beat players and then be like, well, I still have enough time to go to the ballet. One time he said he lost a game because he saw his mistress walking in. Like, this guy's life is crazy. And he didn't work on his chess at all, which ultimately resulted on his downfall. I think by 1911, 1910, he was already ready to beat Lasker, but then World War One happened in 1914, and they couldn't agree to a match. And it was only like years later that Lasker and Capablanca played in very unfavorable conditions, because Lasker was from like Germany or Prussia, whatever it was at the time. Yeah. And Capablanca was Cuban, and they played in Havana. And Lasker was like dying of heat. He was getting heat stroke, and Capablanca was just like, ugh, just another day at the office. And not to say that Lasker played badly, but he could have played better. And he was already like 60 or 50, whatever it was. So didn't do that much for chess because he didn't work that much at chess. But he's just like pure talent. If there's any genius on this list, it's Capablanca. S++. Okay. Alexander Alekhine, or Alyoshin, however you want to say his name. Born in Russia. A few years younger than Capablanca. What to say about Alekhine? He had a tough life. First of all, Alekhine compared to Capablanca, they're like nemesis, basically. If Capablanca's a genius, Alekhine is just a hard worker. He's a working bee. He did not have as much talent, and he didn't get to play with the big boys until he was like 25 or 30, compared to Capablanca, who was much younger. Capablanca, besides, at 14, he was the best player in Cuba, and Cuba is not exactly a crap country when it comes to chess. Even then. First of all, Alekhine was sentenced to death several times. You heard that right. He got sent to Ukraine, basically, to die, because his family was rich, basically, and then the communists took over in Soviet Russia. Yeah. His uncle died in the war or something. He got in a lot of trouble all through his life. And so that was World War One. Then he goes on, he beats Capablanca, which no one thought he would do. Literally no one thought that Alekhine was gonna win. He just goes about his merry life, loses the title because allegedly he was drunk or whatever. Which, like, okay. Then World War II happens in 1939, and he was playing some tournament, and like all his friends get picked up and basically sent to prison or concentration camps. And he was basically an asset for Nazi Germany. He was living in France at the time, which not great if you know anything about World War II. And then he's the only player, only world champion to die on the throne. He died in 1946, I think, a year after World War II ended, alone in Portugal. No one took it from him. I don't know how he was as a person that much. I think he wasn't that great. But for everything I just said, let's put him at S. Yeah, that seems right. Alright. Max Euwe. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. The Dutchman. Yeah, Alekhine did like his vodka a lot. Like a lot. So Alekhine allegedly is not playing his best chess and loses the title to Max Euwe in 1936, I want to say. '35. Okay. So one of the shortest reigns in terms of how long you've been in the title. But first of all these people here, Max Euwe was probably the best, like, person. Period. He was a great guy. He was president of FIDE for a number of years. He lived until 82, 81. And by that time, he, unlike like Lasker or all those people, he wasn't playing chess that much. He was more on like administrative work for FIDE. He had a day job. He was a math teacher. And it's crazy reading their life. Like, you see that this guy at the height of his powers, he's like, oh, I can't like defend my world championship that well. I have to go teach a class. Like, could you imagine like Gukesh doing that? Or Carlsen? These people that are like chess machines basically. And their footprint outside of chess is not that considerable. But these guys, they all had like jobs. Alekhine was a doctor, allegedly. Lasker was also a mathematician. And Euwe, math teacher. He probably liked math more than chess. I'm not so sure about that. But honestly, you need to be a little bit crazy to have aura. And Euwe was not that person at all. He was very well adjusted. He was a great guy. Everyone liked him. Kind of like we'll see with some players later on. Unfortunately, Euwe gets an A. Like, if you're here, you're already one of the GOATs, right? So it's not that bad. Euwe, great guy. Unfortunately not that impressive. He beat Alekhine, so already head and shoulders over everyone else at the time. But yeah, he gets an A. Mikhail Botvinnik, a working B, if there was anyone of that title. The father, basically, of the modern Soviet school of chess. This is a tough one. He is the player who played the most revenge matches, because back then, the mother of Soviet chess, the father of modern. I know my accent is not that great, but the mother of dragons, yeah. Okay. Hmm. Where to put Botvinnik? He developed a whole like training method to play chess. He was one of the first to apply like scientific methods to chess, if that makes any sense. Of like physical preparation, psychological preparation, chess preparation. He would just go away before like a important tournament or a match, train, then go to the venue like 2 or 3 weeks before the actual match to get like climatized. He played matches against Smyslov, he played matches against Stahl, and eventually lost against Petrosian. When was Botvinnik born? So he was born in 1911, and by the time he was world champion, it's like 1948 when he won the tournament to decide the world champion. So he was 37. Yeah. This guy had a degree in electrical engineering. So not a tryhard, not a no lifer. He was a tryhard, but not a no lifer. He had a life outside of chess. I think for his contributions and everything, S plus. But I mean, he wasn't that crazy. He just kind of revolutionized chess very nonchalantly, and then came back. He was world champion from intermittently from 1948 to 1962. 1960, no, 1961. He lost in 62. So yeah, W engineer. So what's that? 14 years? Yeah, 14 years on and off. I mean, that just takes a toll. You can see the engineering balding pattern on his head. But like this guy taught Kasparov, he taught Karpov, he taught all these guys. Spassky. Just a goat all around. Hmm. Yeah. S plus. Okay. Smyslov, whose first name I can't even remember. Vasily Smyslov. Okay. Okay, so Smyslov, world champion after Botvinnik for a little bit, I think 1955. 1957. Okay. So look at how many candidates tournaments this guy played. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. From 1948 to 1985, almost 40 years of chess at the highest level in the world. Even though he only was world champion for a little while. At the time when chess was probably the hardest because there were so many people, especially in Soviet Union. Like there was a joke that was like, if you're the champion of the Soviet Union, you're basically the champion of the world, because winning the Soviet championship was harder basically than winning the world championship, especially because like everyone who won the world championship was Soviet anyways. So like, all right, Smyslov, S plus, S for Smyslov. We'll put him behind Alekhine. Just incredible endurance. By the way, he got to the finals, I think, or semifinals of the candidates in '83, and he lost to none other than Garry Kasparov, which we'll talk very soon about. And he was like, what, 70 something, 60 something, 62, and Kasparov was 21. Like, come on. Okay, Mikhail Tal. Also, he was a piano player. No, he wasn't a piano player. He was a baritone, like an opera singer. Very talented, very good guy. He lived a very long life. He died in 2010, so 15 years ago. Rest in peace. Okay, Mikhail Tal. Botvinnik beats Smyslov, and then gets challenged again by Mikhail Tal, the magician of Riga. Just legendary. Who is more memorable than Mikhail Tal? Come on. S++, easily. Easily S++. Come on. Drank himself to death. A few, like, weeks before dying, he beats Kasparov in a blitz match. In like 15 moves. World champion for a year. Refuses to elaborate. Loses the returning world championship. Blames it on like a cold he gets. Keeps playing. One of the only players, maybe the only player to have a positive score against Fischer, who's coming up very soon. Yeah, the GOAT for entertaining chess. S++, easily. Next. This guy. Oh my god, Tigran Petrosian. Tigran Vartanovich Petrosian. Not to be confused with the other Petrosian. Who had cancelled for cheating in Title Tuesday. Or something like that. But okay. The Python of chess. A master of defense. He beat Botvinnik in 1962 and then lost to Spassky in '69. A lot of openings bear his name. Died of, I think it was pancreatic cancer in the 70s or 80s. Very young, he was like 55. Unfortunately, not very memorable. I think he's most memorable because of, first of all, his defensive style, like having his pieces very back on the board. He's like the opposite of Tal. He was capable of combinations, but like... And secondly, he was a very strong blitz player, believe it or not. Just like very hard to crack. But other than that, not that memorable. A+. Kinda, you know, live fast, die young. That kind of guy. Just like Tal. Boris Spassky. Legend. I mean, he was in a movie. Come on. How many players have been in a movie? Played by Liev Schreiber. Spassky played the King's Gambit. Spassky had a good record against Fischer before the World Championship. He beat Petrosian with the hippo, which is pretty funny. He nonchalantly moved to France after he lost his the championship because people thought he was like a traitor or something or in the Soviet Union. Then he moved back, died like 2 years ago. Lived a very long life. Went to Fischer to visit Fischer in jail, I think. Something like that. Played the revenge match in '92 in Yugoslavia against everyone's advice. Good guy, better player. He stayed relevant until the '90s when he wasn't that young anymore, but just out of the love of chess. I think S for me. S for Spassky. Yeah. And here he is. The moment everyone's been waiting for. Robert James Fischer. Well, you already know it. You already know it. S++. This guy was 2785 in 1970. 2785. He beat Taimanov 6-0. He beat Bent Larsen 6-0. He was 120 points ahead of the second best player of the time, who was Spassky. First man to ever cross 2700, first man to ever cross 2750, first man above 2780. Wins the World Championship, disappears, absolutely revitalized chess in the Western Hemisphere after a long era of domination by Russian players, from Alekhine to Spassky. What do you mean you never understood the hype around the Fishy? Just the GOAT. He made it all pretty much by himself. He had a team, of course, he had monetary sponsors, but mostly he didn't have that kind of support that Soviet players had. Yeah, I mean, it's really a shame that he went crazy after that and really went off the rocker. But S++, absolute legend of chess. Minus the hate speech. Okay. Like, people were just afraid of this guy, basically. And he was afraid of the voices in his head. So it kind of cancels out. Also, he died when he was 64, which is a funny number. 64, number of squares in the chessboard. Okay. Anatolia Karpova. We've all seen the meme about this guy just walking in and obliterating a child on Russian television. It's pretty funny. So Fischer refuses to play the return match in 1975 because he was a diva, basically. Poor Misha, yeah. But in comes Karpov. I think the second player to ever cross 2700. Or maybe that was Stahl, I don't know. I think he was the first one. So he was 2720, 2710 in 1975. Ready to beat Fischer. I'm not so sure if we could have done it. I think Fischer still had a slight edge. Unfortunately, he was also crazy. So Karpov was a very or relatively well-adjusted guy. Just an all-around Russian. Most Russian, whoever Russian. From Siberia. He stayed relevant for 25 plus years after that, playing many matches with all the top players. Korchnoi, Kasparov, Nigel Short, all that kind of stuff. He's still alive, which is good. People accuse him of being a kind of a puppet of the Soviet Union, but you know, what are you gonna do? S plus. Why not? Yeah, still relevant playing against those talent show people. Hero of the Soviet Union. Come on, guys. Who doesn't want to be a hero for a country that doesn't exist anymore? Okay. Gary Chess. Gary Kasparov. S plus plus. At the end, we're gonna decide who is the final boss of chess. But for now, we'll put him at S plus plus. Okay, Kasparov. First man ever to be 2800 in like 1995. Longest streak of like top tournament wins. World champion for 15 years. Quit while he was ahead. Quit when he was the top rated player in the world. He had a peak of like 28.56 in the year 1990 something. Just a legend, man. A legend. Come on. He wasn't afraid to speak out against Russia and like the Soviet way of doing things. So he just fled. I think he lives in New York right now. Part-time citizen in Croatia, but you know. Apparently, Kasparov is a terrorist according to the Russian Federation. But just a legend, man. Yeah, S plus plus easily, if not more. Okay, Kramnik. The man who beat Kasparov, who ended domination. The man who slew the ogre of Baku. Second ever person to be 2800, I think. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Unfortunately, he's very much still alive and very much off the deep end, accusing people of cheating. Oof, I don't know. Let's put him at A. Like, this guy is emitting negative aura. He's not the man he used to be. I used to look up to him, but now he's just kind of kind of crazy. You know, you gotta recognize when you're ahead and quit while you're ahead. Kasparov quit when he was like 40 something, and then he dedicated his life to like politics and the Kasparov Foundation and all this like useful stuff. But Kramnik, he's just like on the internet, being your crazy uncle, spouting conspiracies, and that's not good. That doesn't look good. That's how you delete your legacy. He's still a great player. And kind of iconic, but not for me. Alright. Vasily Topalov. In a turbulent time when FIDE and the world of chess was not united, after Kasparov leaves professional chess in 2004, FIDE hosts a tournament in 2005 to decide the world champion, and Topalov wins. And that's how he got the world championship. He then loses it to Kramnik in 2006, and Kramnik in turn loses to Anand. Topalov, not very memorable, unfortunately. He's just like one of those 2800 guys. Maybe his greatest contribution to chess is that he lost that like famous Turk game against Kasparov, where he's like sacks his queen, and that's very funny, entertaining chess. He's a good player, but you know, just because also there was like that scandal in called Toilet Gate, where they thought they were going to the toilet for a very long time, like him and Kramnik, and accusations of cheating. Ever since that World Championship, they don't shake hands. Like Topalov just refuses to shake his hand, and Kramnik did too. I think he's still active. He sometimes makes these like funny Instagram posts. You know what? Just for the sake of old rivalries, we'll put him on the same tier as Kramnik. Although honestly, he might just belong a tier above because he's not that crazy. But like, it's hard to have aura when you're in the same era as the big K. Okay. Vishwanathan Anand. Vishy. First ever Grandmaster and Super Grandmaster of India. He ushered in a new age of chess for a country with 1.4 billion people. He created basically the Indian school of chess, if there is such a thing, producing many talented players. Great guy. Hey, he gets an S+. The Lightning Kid, they called him. Amazing blitz and rapid player. Still putting the work. I think he's still in the top 10, right? Let's find out. Where are you? Anand. Oh, top 15. Okay, that's still pretty good. Okay. Yeah, S+. Why not? Come on. Magneto. Magnus Carlsen. Come on, you already know who he is, and you already know where he goes. S++. Highest player, fuck. Highest rated player ever. The peak of live rating of 2889. That's 2,889. Officially, it's a little bit lower, but nowadays he's 2837, right? Yeah. Okay, good. In the age of computers, he is the mastermind. He is a computer himself. It's so funny because in between 2010 and 2020 there was this period of like hyperinflation in ratings where like Aronian was like 2850 and at some point, or 2844, Fabiano Caruana was basically 2856, and like then Carlsen is like 2870 something. That's like, you know, imagine being like 2850 and you're still the second highest rated player. You know, there's many players, but Carlsen is above all of them. Dingling perhaps stands out in this list as the only player who became world champion after his prime. Fun enough. I think Dingling was far better as a player in like 2014, 2016 than he was when he won the world championship in 22? 21? 23? I don't know anymore. But that's the thing. He's not a particularly memorable player, and for that he gets an A. Unfortunate but true. You know what? Let's put him ahead of Topalov and Kramnik, because he is also a very nice guy, or so it would seem. Maybe he's a freak behind cameras. I don't know, but I tend to think he's a pretty good guy. Best Chinese player ever. Best of a country. That's always a great thing. Right. Gukesh. Hmm. Technically, youngest ever, the world champion, but he didn't win against the best. Where is Gukesh in the rating list? Like, he's third in the world right now, and let's go to live ratings. In live ratings, he's number 5. The world champion should now be number 5 in the world, unfortunately. But that is the case. Like, look at all these players could be world champions. So, what is going on? That the same problem was for Ding, and the same problem was for these guys when Kasparov was still active. I think Kasparov quit in 2006 actually, not 2004. So he was still very much active. I haven't seen enough of Gukesh, but you know, just the fact that he's a little bit iconic. Let's put him at A+. He still has a great career ahead of him, and to be world champion at 18, it's you know, it's pretty impressive. Paul Morphy. Okay, so that does it for the official world champions. Now, Paul Morphy. These are unofficial or great players of the world, or that won through alternative means. Paul Morphy, he toured Europe, beat everyone, went home, went crazy, died at like 30 or 40. What a life. S++. He was basically 2500 in like the 1850s. Like, that's pretty crazy. Howard Staunton. Maybe most remembered because of the standard like chess sets, Staunton. I don't know that much about him, but just because of that, let's put him at A+. Out of Anderssen and La Bourdonnais, let's put Staunton at S because of that. These guys, like, they made a famous game. They had a big rivalry, but not that remarkable. Johann Zukertort. He has a cool name. I don't know. Was he a world champion? He was just the first challenger ever. Exactly. Why isn't McDonald here? He might have been better picked than Staunton or Zukertort. Zukertort was the first like challenger ever, basically, or the first person to like dispute the world championship. It's not a challenger because there's no one on the throne. And then these guys just straight to A. None of them made it past like 2760, and they won through very disputable means. Unfortunately, I think technically Ponomariov is the youngest ever world champion. Technically speaking. Technically. Uh, who are these people? Okay, Ruslan Ponomariov. There you go. Youngest holder of the title of all time. What the Okay, let's put Ponomariov with Gukesh. Let's put him ahead. Oh, no, not Zukertort. Let's put him here. Just because, just because it's funny. He is the youngest world champion ever. Gukesh didn't win against the best. Ponomariov did not win against the best. I think. I'm not so sure. He won like a World Cup or something. That's how he got yeah. It was weird. Did Kasparov even play? Okay, not Kramnik, not Kasparov. He still won. Okay, let's put him at A+. And now, the final boss of chess is none other than Kasparov. You already knew it. You already knew it. It has to be Kasparov. It has to be. Magnus is still too young. I want Magnus to be like 60 and still be beating people, and then he would maybe be the final boss of chess. But Kasparov is just another level, man. Like, whatever he did, all that he did, is just so remarkable. Literally every kid looks up to him, chess-wise. Like, come on. Yeah, I'm glazing. Okay, let's rearrange this somewhat. All right, Carlsen, then Fischer, then all these guys. I think Morphy had more ore than Lasker. Then here, these guys. Okay, this is all good. Yeah, definitely Kasparov. At least for me. This is my personal opinion. And if you disagree with it, you're welcome to make your own tier list. Or leave a comment or something. Whatever you want. I open dialogue to you. Who do you think is the best? Carlsen? Yeah. Like and subscribe. Exactly. Yeah, besides the final boss of chess, who do you disagree with in this ranking? Hmm. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, like everything's where it's supposed to be, I think. There are some players missing here. Yeah, Topalov was over 2800 and so was Kramnik. I think Topalov's peak is like 28 16 or something, and Kramnik is 28 20. Maybe we'll do a World Blitz champion tier list. Best players who never became world champions tier list. I don't know. We'll see. But I like where this is. I like most things here. No, but Topalov is just on A because it's funny. If there was something between A and A plus, that's where he would fit. It's like in the middle. But he's here because you know, Kramnik basically. He also wasn't world champion for that long. It's just a little bit. I don't want to say unremarkable, but compared to everyone here, He's where he's supposed to be. He's ahead of some people. Yeah, okay. That's it for the list. Should I download this? I don't know how this works, but